right after we shot the performance clip, that you guys have some, I don't know if it's choreographed, but you really have some, tight moves that really add to the presentation of the show. Do you guys work on that? Is that something you think is very important, as far as, how the fans perceive the show?
It's very in the moment a lot of times. But, certain ones we do every time, but if Will, a lot of times we'll just look at each other and be like, let's do, I don't even know what the look means, but we do it at the same time. I don't know what, but we just do the same
It's part
move.
like just chemistry and connection,
Yeah.
and the other part is being like conscious enough to go, that was cool, let's do that all the time.
Yeah.
And having Steve like on my side of the stage now is so much more of a relief, because like you want everything to be balanced. So like having Steve there, it's like I know if I have a complicated part that has to come up, I know Steve can hold it down with Dan, and it's everyone's on the same groove and everyone's on the same movements.
I mean, everybody kind of, does their thing either way, but it definitely adds to the show. Anybody who's ever seen us, you can hear us, via Reverb Nation or even on 97.9 now. And you can hear the music and enjoy the music, but if you see us live, it's a completely different game. Anybody who's seen us for the first time has been, usually the response is, you guys put out such a ridiculous amount of energy, and it's just us doing what we feel.
Right.
Yeah. There's nothing crazy about it, and we're just doing what we love to do and having fun doing it.
Right. But it's balanced. I mean, it's you see a lot of bands where maybe it's just the lead singer that's quite the extrovert, and some guys do nothing, and with you guys it's pretty crazy, like balanced out rather well. I mean, you've got your whole thing going on where you get very emotional with your songs, and that comes through, and then you got the frenetic, craziness of these guys. And I thought the show the other night, Lyrics, was incredible. I couldn't believe the energy that came off from
I
that.
think Eric almost feeds that a lot of times too, because everything he writes is so emotional and personal. It's not really fiction at some points.
Right.
It's part of his life and part of what he truly believes from his heart. So when he's really feeling it and he's really conveying his words, comes through us. We're like, this, all right, I gotta physically show what he's talking about. I really gotta to make this happen,
and in turn I feed off of that, especially when these guys are doing their thing on stage. I really feed off of that and the crowd, and it just all works. I think it's chemistry, like Will said. It just happened to all work out.
Yeah, Will and Dan, I know they have that. They're just in sync with each other almost all the time, between playing in other bands with them and sharing the stage and just going out to see them on my spare nights before I joined. I just knew that they had it, and instead of just trying to replicate them, I feed off of what they're doing and just try and do my own thing in between, change it up a little.
Right.
I like it a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
it works too, because a lot of times you have someone doing the same thing over and over again, it gets redundant, it gets almost predictable. But having people spice it up, and I know I can always if I'm just not feeling I got no energy or something, I can turn around and look at Mike and Steve and be like, all right, step my game up. It's time. It's go time now, because those guys go off every show.
Yeah, every night's different for me. I don't plan anything out. It's what you see is what I'm feeling at the moment, literally.
Right.
Mine depends on the night. It's dangerous sometimes. It's
Let's move on to something that's happening around here in the NEPA scene that's really big for the area, and Ion Indie Magazine is also a proud sponsor of it, but the Electric City Music Conference is coming, and you guys are nominated, I believe, in 3 different categories for the
we are
Steamtown Awards, right?
Yes.
We're nominated for Best Metal Act, Eric is for Best Vocalist, and
Crack
Inside is for Song of the Year.
Best vocalist from a guy you guys couldn't even get the name off, people that were recommending him, right? That's totally unbelievable. That's great.
He's all right sometimes.
Or the first song you wrote in the band, too.
Yeah, the first lyrics he ever wrote, he's like, bleh, here you go. Song of the year. Yay.
I put slightly more effort into it.
No, that's the way you do it, I know.
Yeah, we're all stoked about the Steamtown Awards, and we're all super grateful to even get the nomination, because you look at all the other bands in the categories, and there's some really great bands, a lot of people we respect too.
Yeah.
So many people that we've played tons of shows with over the years, and we know personally. It's awesome to be in such a good company and
Right.
be perceived that way.
How do you guys feel about like the whole, like that's going to be a huge weekend? How many gigs are you going to play?
I think we're only playing Sunday now, and we were supposed to do 2, but now I'm not sure what's going on with the actual award show. I know Sunday night we're at the V Spot with
Ashfall, Death Forge, Cause of Affliction, I believe Threat Point's on it. Like that's
Grace's Downfall.
Grace's Downfall.
Wow.
Madrone from Virginia's gonna be there. It was like that's the stack show. Like,
Right.
if you wanna
Yeah,
come
it's
and
gonna
have a good show, that's the
It's
show
gonna
you
be a
wanna
heavy,
come
fun night.
to. Yeah.
Lots of metal, lots of crazy, fun people, and all the bands that are going to be playing that day, and pretty much the entire, I don't even know how many venues it are.
There's a lot.
It's 3 days. It's just a ridiculous, awesome thing for all these bands to, show everybody what they've got.
It's almost a payoff too. Like a lot, bands bust their ass all year to be acknowledged by your peers. I think is probably one of the most flattering things ever. To look at someone and go, "Wow, you're a phenomenal guitar player. You should be nominated for this," or "You're a phenomenal drummer. You should be nominated for this." Like that's awesome, and I don't know. It's a really great thing, and it's really going to help the morale around the area too.
Yeah, I think we needed a good kick in the ass. I mean,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
been, I mean, how many great bands play out to not the greatest crowds,
Yeah.
especially with the original music scene, and
Mm-hmm.
that's a shame. I mean, I know I rant about it on my wall constantly. I can't believe the turnout. These
never
people are
worth
all going to be, they're all going to be going to Montage to see it and say that they were old school
Yeah.
behind the Grey fans, and
Yeah.
I'll know who was there, but
Every band starts somewhere, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Pantera probably has the best story ever. They were playing a birthday party, and there was 10, 12 people there, like Pantera playing
Yeah.
a fucking birthday party. And the record label
In
exec came
spandex.
in. Yeah, their spandex came in, watched them play 2 songs, and left. And they just got so pissed off that this record label exec guy left mid-set that they stopped, got drunk, smashed a cake, did, their whole Pantera, legend
Debauchery.
thing. And they talked to the label exec guy later, and they're like, "Dude, why'd you leave?" I had to call my boss and say, "These guys need to get signed right now." And that's who it was. They signed to literally 5 people
From a
in a
birthday
room at
party.
a birthday party, and that was how it rolled. You
Yeah.
never know who's in the audience.
that lightning strike, right?
Mhm.
Exactly.
Actually, we had that with Dingbats.
Yeah.
Like, no matter where you're playing, no matter who you're playing to, you never know who's there. And, like, we did our first show at Dingbats out in Clifton, and they don't tell you that all the bartenders are, they're booking people.
Mhm.
They just let you play and do your thing. Okay, well, if you put on a half-ass show because there's only 10 people there, they're not going to tell you anything. But if you go in and you put on the same show that you put on for 1,000 people, it's, gets you
It was
booked.
a nice compliment we got from Jose Mangan too, from Sirius, because he was hosting the night, and he
Mhm.
said the same thing. So it was like us, Grace's Downfall, Bird of My Surrender. I think that was it. And he said like every band just came out and played like there was 10,000 people there. You gotta keep that up. Our area is a little bit different than what's going on in other areas, so we kind of gotta do what we gotta do to stay afloat.
Right.
It's not what it was 10 years ago.
How about some advice to the younger bands? Because I know, just from things I've heard, I mean, I didn't even know this until a few days ago, how serious you are about this, and you've got contracts for the vendors or the venues. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And there's no screwing behind the Grey.
No. I mean, a lot of it is lesson learned stuff. Like, I got screwed plenty of times. Bands I've been in been screwed. Travel 2-3 hours to get a $50 door. Play for 3 hours to get $100. Like, it's all happened. It's one of those things I learned over time to protect yourself. And the big thing I do is when I book a show is I put in a performance contract that basically protects the band in case a trailer gets broken into. That's going to be covered under insurance, that our gear will be restored, or our van is not going to be all screwed up. If something isn't properly wired or something like that, and he plugs in his amp and gets a shock and he can't use his hand, well, I mean, it's our career.
Mhm.
Like, I got a guitar player who can't use his hand. It's all those things where the vendor or the promoter doesn't like how the online promotion's going and doesn't think they're going to make money, cancels the show 3 days before, like, no, you pay a deposit, you pay us what we're deserved, because we have all of our money and our investment tied up in going to play this. So, you know, it's all about protecting yourself.
Right.
For younger bands, I think you evolve into it. I guess the biggest advice I can give is be willing to sacrifice. If you want to legitimately make it your career, you have to tell everyone. Like, we've had career talks in here, and we said, like, what do we want to do? Do we want to be an independent band? Do we want to chase after a label? Do we want to look for a booking company? Like, we have a business strategy set up for us, and we know it's not easy. It's
Right.
probably the hardest industry in the world to make it in. So when you put out your goals and you put out, you know, all the things you want to do, you have to be willing to sacrifice to get there. And I use the metaphor like it's a mountain, and you've got to climb a mountain. At the top of that mountain is your goal. You're going to be a career musician.
Right.
And the guys who come and look at the base of that mountain go, it's too cold, it's too hard, it's too strong. Stay at the bottom.
Mhm.
Stay at the bottom where you belong, because on the way up this mountain, people are going to die. People are not going to be able to make it, and you got to be able to push forward. And when you get to the top, you're going to get there.
Right.
No matter how hard you push, you're going to get to the top of the mountain. It's just a matter of who's to your right and your left, and who's going to come with you to do it.
But at some point, you've done all those things, right? You've done the free shows, you've done the
Mhm.
birthday parties, you've all done.
Oh yeah.
What about pay to play? What do you think of pay to play as a viable option to making it?
I have such a love-hate, and I understand it, I get it. Do I like it? No. But I understand it.
Mhm.
And I think that's a big thing bands are doing now is they protest, like, we're not paying to play, you know, we're not doing that, but you're shutting a door. And you never, never shut a door. The music industry is 5 cell phones. Everyone knows everybody.
Mhm.
So as soon as someone says, hey, I want you to open for Bullet for My Valentine at the Sherman Theater, they want you to sell 100 tickets at $12 a pop, and you're like, absolutely not, we're not going to do this, we're not going to be a part of this, that promoter, that tour manager, and that venue now know not to call you.
Right.
That door is shut and you're not going to get there. And it's really hard for me to shut those experiences because of my previous bands. We opened for a national band called Taproot, and their tour manager and their lead singer watched our set and enjoyed us so much that they invited us on a 3-month tour.
Wow.
So it's one of those things of, we worked really hard. Again, we sacrificed to get to where we were, and just because you make one sacrifice doesn't mean you have to stop once you get to the next level. You have to continue to do it.
Right.
Pay to play, I think you should legitimately sell what you sell. You know what I mean? Like, you come in, like, you need to sell 50 tickets. You sell 50 tickets. You don't inflate your numbers, because that keeps your band grounded.
Mhm.
Like, no, like, oh, you sold 120 tickets. No, you sold 25, and you bought with your paycheck the rest. That's not your real fan base.
Right.
That's not really who you are. You know, you have to sell to people
Mhm.
and be honest with yourself and be honest with the venue, because then they're going to know what type of band you are. And every ticket selling situation, I usually give them a performance contract that doesn't guarantee us for however many tickets. I even say, like, a lot of times, put us on the bill, let us play for free, and just give me my merch.
Right.
We'll win over your audience. I can guarantee you we'll win over your audience. And the next time you have us there, we'll draw another 30, 40 people. And then when those people see us again, that next 500 people will draw another 40, 50 people after that. So it may be a slow build, but we'll be a quality band you can always have as an opener. You know, we're a quality band that's going to bring legitimate people, and the people there will enjoy it.
You got a big show coming up this weekend with Blame Shift, who was
Yeah.
just recently on the Warped Tour,
Mhm.
and they hopped off a show.
They were on tour with Saliva.
Saliva, right?
Saliva.
Exactly. Thanks.
Glad I can help.
For giving me the research I should have known, since I asked the question last night too.
It's all good.
So, are you excited for that show? By the time this airs, it'll have already happened, so you could tell everybody it was a great show if you want.
I broke my hand.
Oh, yeah.
I'm actually very stoked. I saw them back in 2005, maybe 2006, and I dug them then, and, you know, I hadn't really listened to them, and when we got asked to do the show, I went back and I listened to their CDs, and it's not normally what people are used to, seeing me listen to, but I'm extremely excited about playing this show, and
And really, it's our first national show as this lineup. So
Right.
to be able to be among people that are your peers and see like that's a career band right there. It's a
Right.
band that's booking their shows and going town to town. You always learn something from them. You can always see what's going on with them, and they're a great band too. Like their song "Secrets" is awesome. I think that's their single right now too.
yeah,
So,
that entire album is phenomenal. I've listened to it probably about 3 times this week alone.
Okay, let's hop back to some cliche stuff. How about giving me your own personal influences for your particular instrument that you're playing now? Because I know all you guys. It seems like every band I interview today, each member plays like 3 to 4 different instruments now. Just the one you played today.
So playing the skin flute.
Yeah.
You mean later today, not
Yeah,
earlier.
right.
Sorry,
This
guys.
is why we can't have nice things.
All right, so guitar-wise, I'm Justin Bieber.
Justin Bieber?
Yeah, Justin Bieber. He's no. My biggest influences were blues players: Stevie Ray Vaughan, Kenny Wayne Shepherd, anybody with 3 names. And then I got into like Limp Bizkit and Korn and that in the '90s, and then I just kept getting heavier from there. But for the most part, anybody blues-wise is my biggest influences.
What are you currently listening to when you're not?
Right now, actually, the 12-Foot Ninja album is the only thing I'm listening to right
Really?
now, and they're just beyond my grasp of guitar. So I'm just like, every time I listen to them, it's something new that I hear, and it's just crazy. So that's me, y'all.
Okay. Eric?
My influences are a little different than I think people expect. James Taylor has been kind of a big influence, especially like in my writing, although you kind of have to dig to really find that.
Mm-hmm.
And then stuff you might expect, like Tool, A Perfect Circle, Maynard, and just various things like Mudvayne, Deftones, even a little bit of Red. I really enjoy Red. I'm kind of all over the place. I when I'm home sometimes I can listen to James Taylor, or I can listen to like NWA or The Chronic or something like that. It's just kind of whatever I'm feeling. I don't know, a little crazy with music, I guess. I'm kind of all over the place.
The reason I play music is Deftones. I mean,
Right.
all our way around, vocally, guitar-wise. Guitar-wise, my influences, I guess, are similar to what Eric said, a little shocking. A big influence to mine is Mark Tremonti from
Mhm.
Creed and An Alter Bridge in his solo record.
No shock. I mean, he's phenomenal.
He's a phenomenal. I think a lot of people give him a lot of shit for the Creed stuff, but I mean, you don't sell 40 million records without everyone
Yeah,
buying
right.
it. So, Stephen Carpenter from the Deftones. More recently, I've been really into like Misha Mansour from Periphery. Listen to, I guess, a lot of stuff I've been listening to is getting progressively heavier, and I blame our previous guitar player for this. So like I'm really into Trivium. I absolutely love Trivium.
Yeah.
I think Matt Heafy is a phenomenal guitar player and a phenomenal writer.
Beefy is beefy.
Clint Lowry from Seven Dust. That's a massive one.
Oh, yeah.
Seven Dust is a huge one. Right now I'm listening to a band called Intervals that Mark Yanish from Grace's Downfall turned me on to.
Right.
And it's all just, like I said, so far beyond my grasp of guitar that it's such a great challenge to present to yourself. And it's so different from what we do. It's a nice breath of fresh air to be at home and play stuff like that.
Mike, I know you're a big Kiss fan, so I'm sure Peter Criss would be at the top of your list.
Huge Kiss fan. Honestly, I listen to such a wide variety of music, and some of it's there's one band from Buffalo. They're actually good friends, the Bunny the Bear. They go from electronic to hardcore to alternative rock. I listen to death metal. It depends on the day. I mean, today I've listened to Blame Shift. I've listened to Dr. Dre's The Chronic album, Ghost, Deftones. I mean, it's all over the place. I pretty much, whatever I'm listening to, I'm analyzing and trying to figure out what's going on and trying to kind of piece things together in different ways and different styles.
Okay, Steve.
It's a long list. Youngest guy. I mean, growing up, I mean, everything from ABBA to Warren Zevon to, as you mentioned earlier, NWA to Whitechapel. I mean,
You said you're the youngest guy, and you mentioned ABBA and Warren Zevon.
Yeah.
You open a conversation like that?
They're like older than me, actually.
I didn't know that was possible.
It's true.
As far back as I can remember, I mean, I think it was my grandmother's birthday party. I was over there talking to my great-grandfather about Warren Zevon. I was 4 years old, singing these songs to him.
Wow.
I mean, and I still have that CD in my playlist daily.
Huh.
And nowadays, I mean, it's still all that. And Les Claypool was one of the biggest influences and helped me switch over to bass. As Dan mentioned earlier, some Stu Hamm. Even outside of bass, I mean, Joe Satriani, I mean, the classic, Steve Vai.
Right.
I love what they do, the flavor that they put into their music. It's not just, the same old thing. And, I mean, there's rarely some of the newer stuff, but the new stuff that I can find passion for, I mean, it's got something, some sort of value that I can take from it and learn and expand and just keep going. One of my biggest things is, don't just look at the instrument you're playing, look at how everyone plays their instrument and just figure out what would they do if you put your instrument in their hands. How would they play it compared to, like, take a bass or a guitar and give it to a piano player. What would their natural thing do? Or give it to a vocalist. Would they try and sing into the headstock?
It happened once, all right?
There's pharmaceuticals involved. Let's talk
Probably.
I've never heard about that.
Okay, so since Ion Indie Magazine is predominantly only an online publication now, and social media is huge with music these days, what do you think of that? Like, do you feel that the social media barrage of bands is harmful or helpful?
It could go either way. I mean, it all really depends on how you use it. I mean, I could promote 6 different shows in one status. I can, post our entire list of shows, and, if, this week we have the Factory show, a Flame Shift. Next week we have a Sherman Theater show, I can single those out, but I can also push our brand new song, Learning to Breathe, in the process of, promoting shows. It really depends on how you do it. I mean, some people abuse it, and, granted, I mean, Facebook now wants you to pay and do all this other stuff, which we're not going to do because that's
We don't
silly.
have money.
I think it goes right back to talking about the pay-to-play thing. It's the same thing. You're paying to hear other people play your
Right.
music for you. So if you're not going to pay $500 to a promoter to play a show, why would you pay $500 to a nameless, faceless person to put an ad on the side of someone's Facebook page?
Right.
If you believe so much in your music, you should go out and promote yourself. And I think the internet's a tool. It's a great conduit and it's a great tool, and should be used as that, not a means to an end. A lot of people just use Facebook as their promotional material. There's an old school way of just showing up to a venue and having your posters there.
Right.
Go to your local radio station and tell them, like, hey, I'm going to be in town next month at this venue with these bands. They may not push you, but you may get a shout out from a DJ the day of that may bring an extra 30, 40 heads to your show.
Right.
I think it's a great way to get your music out there. Anybody all over the world, like we got, what'd you say, we got played in Europe or Australia or something?
Yeah, we're in the UK. I don't remember
UK.
exactly what town.
Jasper.
Obviously, like, we've never been there, but people over there enjoy our music. So, I mean, because of the internet and social media, we were able to get our music out there. So, again, it's a great tool. It's a great conduit to our fans to keep everyone updated what's going on. It's not, the only thing out there right now.
Okay, the local scene itself, as far as the indie thing goes, recently 97.9 started actually playing the local homegrown music, which has to be a huge shot in the arm for everybody that's making original great music out there. You've got the Billy Keep It Metal show, you've got other indie radio stations in the area. how do you feel about that? Is that something that you think is definitely helping this area as far as, fan turnout?
I mean, 97.9 picking up the locals only thing is huge for anybody.
Yeah.
It's the biggest station we have here, especially in our style of music. I mean, they play all different styles of original music, but I mean, with any sort of radio, whether it be online, whether it be regular radio station, it's never gonna hurt you.
Yeah, no such thing as too much promotion.
Yeah.
Like you won't get oh well you're never out of tune. You don't have a bad night on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
What's the worst that's gonna happen? Somebody's gonna be changing the channel, and they could hear the last 30 seconds of Learning to Breathe, and they could be like, oh wow, who was that? And when
Right.
they say that last song was Behind the Gray,
They're gonna look you up.
they'll check you out.
Mm-hmm.
I think too for our area we have a really great underground music scene. It's had to
Yeah.
bring itself underground, unfortunately, because of our surroundings. But we have so many quality bands here. I mean, you have a great indie rock scene at the Vintage Theater. You have like a Social State, Ion Attraction, Silhouette Lies. Those guys they're amazing. They put on great shows and they write great songs, which is huge. You have a great rock scene with Grace's Downfall, Cause of Affliction, like a little bit more into metal. Governing Murphy, you got those guys in there. Like you have so many broad spectrum bands, like even Last to Nine. Like I think those guys are
Yeah, they're awesome.
killing it right now. And to have that exposure to get people into their music and let people know that they exist.
Mm-hmm.
Like we unfortunately are in the situation now where we have to play bars. This isn't Maryland where you can go play the Record Theater or the Auto Bar, or you go to LA and you do like a pay-to-play situation where you're selling tickets to the Viper Room. We don't have that anymore.
Right.
We don't have a Staircase. We don't have an Eleanor Rigby's. We don't have these places, even like the small places, Cafe Metro, Backstage Enterprises. Like even I remember going to see Motionless in White in a VFW hall.
Mm-hmm.
School with them.
Yeah,
I
that was
remember
the
them
thing
before
to
the
do,
NEPA.
man.
Yeah.
People don't acknowledge Motionless in White is from this area, but those guys are killing it, and they're
Mhm.
slugging out
So
on the road
intense.
for like 300 years.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where you can get on the radio, you can get these publications, and people who normally go to bars will now selectively choose those bars to go to see these bands.
Right.
You're going to go to the V Spot. You're going to get a heavy rock show. You're going to get the Grace's Downfalls. We'll play there. Cause of Affliction. You want to head to Wilkes-Barre. You're going to get more what a lot of the mainstream stuff is doing. Like obviously Blame Shift is going to play there. They're getting the Nationals. Crowbot just played there.
Yeah.
And those guys are unreal. Last to Nine, those guys will play there. So it lets people be selective and choose what they want to see. I feel bad because when we were kids, it was you got a band together in high school or even like when you're in college and you played the Cafe Metro,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a tiny stage, but the PA system was there, and you roll in, there's 50, 60 people, and you felt like you sold out
Yeah.
the Montage Mountain, man.
Mhm.
I mean, you're 18, 19 years old. They pay you at the end of the night like a couple $100. You go back to whoever's house, throw a party, and that was a great Friday night, man.
Yeah.
That was it. And now it's like those 16, 17-year-old kids have no place to go.
Yeah, the vintage being gone now.
Mhm.
That was.
There's a band out in I think it's the Carbondale area. I ran sound for them called Dreamers Like Us. These kids are incredible. These kids could be signed tomorrow.
Right.
Like they are just outstanding musicians, and they are just heavy as shit. Like like in the style of a Mirror, like a lot of that old school kind of like hardcore scene to it. And they only really play at their practice room for their friends.
Right.
Because they have nowhere to go, and it's sad because they're not old enough to play a bar, and obviously they're not going to learn 3 hours of material to go play a bar,
Mhm.
which tends to be the kick in the nuts anymore. But obviously we just played in Carbondale because we had so many requests for an all-late show.
Right.
We played Without a Martyr, and those guys are awesome. They were bringing like 100 people to the Vintage Theater. And to have 100 people in the Vintage Theater, you're probably calling the fire marshal because it's
Yeah, we
sold
did
out.
their CD release, and it was unreal. When we
Mhm.
shot that, we couldn't even do video. There was no room for me to set up the cameras, and I thought I was gonna get killed shooting from the pit. That little dude,
The little guy.
oh god,
Oh, Matt's baseball.
yeah.
In October, we we got the Electric City Music Conference, as you talked about earlier. That's just going to be huge. You can pretty much hit any bar in Scranton and see probably 10 acts throughout the day, every day. We have a show at the V-Spot Halloween night with Ashfall and Grace's Downfall. That's going to be a blast.
Birthday specials.
Oh, yes. And it's
If you want to come to see the costume, that's going to be
Yeah.
the best part.
Oh,
The
yeah.
full band costume. We won't tell you what it is,
Ah,
but
a
you'll
theme?
want to see the costume.
Kiss?
Yeah, we can human centipede. Yeah,
We're doing it as the human centipede.
Human centipede.
Difficult to play.
I got to be the last one in human centipede.
ADD is very bad.
Oh, I hate and love you so much.
Basically, if you're looking for some shows, I always keep everything updated through my Facebook, the band's Facebook. Anytime we update our show listings, I always take a picture of everything that's coming up. I'm gonna start posting up probably, I'd say Saturday. I'll throw down a full list of shows that we have. Tag every band that's on each show, and where it's at, and we'll get it all out for everybody.
Alrighty. Okay. That's a wrap.
Taken by the way you scream the words to me. You came as I was losing my mind. It's hard to find a way when I'm choking on my own life, but you push me along to survive. Taken by the way I throw myself away, lost the pieces I need. It's hard to find a cure to this sickness so I don't die, but you push me to try. And I'm tired of losing sleep, cracked and broken heart. Show me how to breathe. Rainfall
Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for being here. We really had a great time tonight.